So it's Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to all who are watching. What better film to review on Christmas Day than the story that started it all, the Nativity Story. Now this film is directed by Catherine Hardwicke. That may put some people off. Obviously she's famous for bringing Twilight to the screen, but go into it with an open mind. I think the things that we see in this film, this familiar story of the birth of Jesus and the journey that Mary and Joseph go on in order to see that come to pass, it feels very kind of TV-like, but you know, the world, as I say, feels believable. The stuff that they go through, the things that they do, the journey they go on, it feels quite realistic in that kind of, in that way. The film is a success, is what I'm saying, in that manner, in that it brings you into that world and it kind of gives you a flavour of, yeah, that is probably what it would have been like. Now it's quite faithful to the biblical text in many ways, although obviously they have to really fill in the backstories a lot of the time, because we're only given snippets in the New Testament, in the books that this comes from. So obviously they have to fill in a lot of gaps to make it feel grounded, to make it feel, well, to get the humanity of Joseph and Mary and their plight, the situations that they were in. But yeah, I think they do a pretty good job of that. Like I say, it's just not quite cinematic enough for my liking. When you think about what Mel Gibson did with Passion of the Christ, he turned, you know, biblical times into a Caravaggio painting basically on screen. We don't really get that here. It's more made for TV movie aesthetic. Now, Oscar Isaac is in this film. I saw this many years ago, before Oscar Isaac was, you know, the big actor he is today. So I completely forgot he was in this. So to come back and watch this and see Oscar Isaac, it was quite a pleasure. And you see him with all his traits here, in the sense that he's a great actor. He brings a real likeable warmth to the character of Joseph. You know, this struggle that he has of coming to terms with, actually, this woman who I'm supposed to be marrying is pregnant, you know, and struggling with that. Well, is this as she says? Is it God's baby? Or is it, you know, has she done something she shouldn't have been up to before we get married? So yeah, I think they handle that side of things very well. The weakest link, I would say, in this film is Keisha Hughes, which is a real disappointment to say, because anyone who's seen Whale Rider will know that as a child actress in that film, she delivered a performance which was Oscar-worthy, quite frankly. She blew all the adult actors off the screen in that film. There's one particular moment in there where it was just, yeah, absolutely blown away by her. So when they announced that she was going to be in this film, she was going to be playing Mary, that was something to get quite excited by. But I'm afraid the performance that is delivered here, it just doesn't do a right lot for me. It feels very stoic, I guess, at times, almost too stoic. There's not a right lot of expression that comes from her, which is a shame, because I know she is capable of it. It just feels like, I don't know, that I guess that she's going through the motions of a Christmas panto at high school or something. That's kind of how it feels. Like I say, you know, there's a couple of moments there where we do get the sense of what she's going through as Mary, but overall, I could have been done with a bit more emoting from her during certain situations. We get Alexander Siddig, who most people will know from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. He plays the angel who comes to visit both Mary and Joseph. And I always struggle when they put, you know, when they try and show angels on movies or TV shows or whatever, because there's just really no way of encapsulating what that would really look like, or how that would feel on an emotional level. And I don't think they do a particular good job of that here. Keeping with the traditional format in which this story is told, we get the three wise men. I say it like that because obviously in the Bible it doesn't actually say there were three. It doesn't say how many there were at all. It just says that wise men came. Now the idea about there being three comes from the three gifts that were brought: the gold, the frankincense and the myrrh. So in traditional law we tend to just go with three wise men. Well, you know, fair enough, it doesn't offend or anything, but it does get a little bit run-of-the-mill by using these three. You know, it would have been a bit more interesting, I think, to see a whole host of these wise men come in. Now, the angle they take with that is they use these guys for a little bit of comedy, shall we say. It doesn't go down too well with me. It's not really that funny, but they're kind of meant to be a bit more light-hearted. You know, the relationship between these three guys is a bit more playful. Fair enough, it don't really do anything for me. But yeah, the story itself, the main storyline of this relationship between Joseph and Mary, and, you know, obviously the birth of Jesus, I kind of like. You know, I like that it does bring it down to earth. I like that it sets it within the political world as it existed back then, which was this, you know, Roman occupation and King Herod. It feels like they've got that stuff right. It feels very authentic in that respect. We go for the more traditional kind of ending on it with the bright light coming down from the star. Again, that for me is a bit too, yeah, a bit too traditional, shall we say. I'm not sure I like that idea. Simply just having a star in the sky would have been perfectly ample. Having a huge beam of light coming down from it, essentially showing Herod where this baby is, yeah, that doesn't really sit well with how I understand the story. But, like I say, they're all kind of minor quibbles. What this gets right is the relationships of the characters and the feeling of authenticity of the time. And because of that, I'm going to give this film a 3.5 out of 5. And you do very well to watch this, obviously, with it being Christmas Day. But yeah, what about you? Have you seen this film? And if so, what did you think about it? Please comment below, let me know, and have a Merry Christmas.